Royal fans are convinced Meghan Markle is lying about her age. In fact, they think she's older. And not a surprise here because, yeah, she lies a lot about her.
Whose lives are shrouded in mystery, and they want to hide their secret. But a lawyer says Meghan didn't lie. Well, extraordinary how the whole thing is unraveling.
And yet they don't produce.
I'm not happy with what one of my daughters is doing. And I don't know what caused her to do this. We've had this conversation before. She's telling lies.
They use their friends, their lawyer, academics who have always backed their side.
What if the real shock isn't what Meghan did, but the timeline she never explains? That's the question exploding across royal gossip circles tonight, because according to a resurfaced teen magazine and comments from biographer Tom Bower, there may be 6 mysterious years in Meghan Markle's life story that simply don't line up. Officially, Meghan is 44, born on August 4th, 1981. That's the date repeated in palace briefings, interviews, fan sites, the polished version we've all seen. But then a 1997 magazine pops up. Page 90, a casting style list. And right there it says, Meghan Markle, age 21. Here's the issue. If Meghan was born in 1981, she shouldn't have been 21 in 1997. Not even close. And that's where the speculation starts. Add in the whispers from her father, Thomas Markle, who has said certain timelines he remembers don't match the modern royal narrative, plus online discussions about birth dates, hospital details, and medical timelines some people say feel off. So the question goes viral. If the dates don't match, what else in this fairy tale biography was edited before we ever saw it? Stay with me, because once you look at these old receipts circulating online, you might never see this royal story the same way again.
And it would only make sense that she might lie about this. Would it be such a big deal? Is it true? Well, thankfully, Steph the Alternate has compiled a slideshow. Let's actually get to the truth of this issue, and it's a surprise. Here we go.
When people hear Meghan Markle, they picture the glossy trailer, Hollywood star, global feminist, the woman who married a prince and rewired the monarchy. But now the paperwork behind that perfect story is starting to flicker. Enter Tom Bower, not a TikTok theorist, but a biographer who actually digs through archives. And then there's Thomas Markle, the dad with camcorder memories of school plays, auditions, graduations, the stuff no PR team can rewrite. On one side, the polished royal biography. On the other, a father's timeline and a resurfaced magazine page. The palace says, born 1981. But that old magazine lists Meghan as 21 in 1997. And her dad? He quietly says, those dates don't match what he remembers. Confusing? Oh, it gets messy, eh? Because the story then jumps to Meghan's ultra-cinematic birth at Portland Hospital, candles, calm lighting, epidural on cue, and a tower turnaround back to Frogmore that doctors online keep calling impossible. This isn't one odd detail. It's a pattern. And in royal PR, patterns rarely happen by accident.
A lot of people, though, say that Samantha Markle had since revealed Megsy's true age in her court documents as part of the defamation suit against her that's happening. This is false. Here you can see that Samantha is 58 years old, born in 1964. The court documents from Samantha, she confirms there is a 17-year difference in age, which would make Meghan's year of birth being 1981. So
first came the magazine that just wouldn't stay buried. March 1997, 17 magazine. Teen girls flipping through it on school buses, not knowing they're holding what the internet now calls a future royal mystery. Page 90. One tiny casting style line, Meghan Markle, age 21. And that's where the timeline starts glitching. Because if Meghan was truly born in 1981, the date repeated in every official palace briefing, she should have been 15 that spring, not 21. Not close enough. A full 6-year jump. And you don't accidentally collect 6 extra birthdays like bonus points. The wild part? This wasn't printed after she became famous. This was before royal titles, before palace PR, before anyone imagined she'd marry into the crown. So the internet is left asking, Who got the age wrong, the palace, the magazine, or someone else entirely? Because one wrong number is a typo. But 6 missing years? That's a story.
So when Meghan came along into the scene, I just thought, this is fascinating. How is this going to play out? To tell the truth, I spoke to very few friends of Meghan because she put a fatwa on anyone talking to me who she could.
Then comes the one person who never needed a palace press release to remember his daughter's life, Thomas Markle. He doesn't check Wikipedia. He doesn't need timelines written by PR teams. He remembers being there, buying her first car, paying tuition, filming auditions, watching her grind her way into Hollywood. But here's where the story tilts. The ages connected to those memories? They don't line up with the polished royal version. Graduations feel older. Those early acting breaks sound like they belong to someone past their teens. Parents might forget which year you broke an arm, but no father forgets an entire 6-year gap in his child's life. So when Thomas Markle quietly suggests that the official age doesn't match what he remembers, the internet doesn't scroll past it. It zooms in. Because when a father hints the timeline is off, the story doesn't fade, it explodes.
Are you worried that Harry and Meghan might end up suing you for something you say, given you know they're very friendly with their lawyers, aren't they?
Well, they can sue me, but what are they going to get?
Next comes the detail the internet won't let go, the 2 competing birth years. The official version says Meghan was born in 1981, making her 44 in 2025. That date appears everywhere. Royal stationery, documentaries, glossy bios, the fully approved palace timeline. But if she was truly 21 in 1997, like that resurfaced magazine lists, then she's not mid-40s at all. She's much closer to 50. And in both Hollywood and royal PR, 6 extra years isn't a small slip. It's the difference between rising talent and veteran, between a glowing late 30s pregnancy and a medically high-risk one. Change the age, and you don't just tweak a number. You rewrite the entire narrative. And this question becomes even more explosive once the story arrives at Portland Hospital, because that's where everything gets even stranger.
6 hours of lies. They would be absolutely hounded out.
No balance.
Not in a balance, no truth.
Now we reach the birth story, the one that sounds less like a hospital moment and more like a Netflix script. In Spare, Harry describes Archie's arrival like a wellness retreat. Soft lighting, candles, birthing balls, 2 epidurals, and somehow a peaceful return to Frogmore just 2 hours after delivery. Doctors and midwives online practically choked on their tea. Because the 2 epidurals detail? Medical professionals say that's not how epidurals work. You don't order them like refills, it's one catheter, continuously adjusted. What Harry described reads more cinematic than clinical. And here's the detail most people miss. If Meghan was actually in her early 40s, not mid-30s as the polished narrative suggests, then this wasn't a routine birth at all. It would have automatically fallen into the high-risk category, which makes the spa day version even harder for the internet to swallow.
Who can't beat the real story? I mean, that's the excitement of writing these sort of books, that in the end, nothing beats the truth, the real facts.
Now, I hear lots of people, I disagree with them, but I hear lots of people saying, oh, what more damage can he do? But I think you think this book could be even worse.
And finally, we reach the part of the story the internet keeps calling medically impossible. Harry's version of the timeline goes like this. Archie is born. Meghan recovers. The newborn gets checked. Paperwork is done. Everyone gets dressed, and they complete the drive from Portland Hospital to Frogmore Cottage, a drive that can take an hour on its own. All of that, according to the book, happens in 2 hours total. And remember, this was supposedly after 2 epidurals. Online doctors and midwives quickly pointed out the issues. Most women with a standard epidural can't stand, let alone walk, for at least an hour. High-risk mothers? They're usually kept for observation for days, not rushed out in minutes. So when professionals online broke down the timeline, the reaction was blunt. This doesn't add up. And yet, somehow, this still wasn't the strangest part of the entire story.
Family, everybody is exposing the lies that she's been telling. And it would only make sense that she might lie about this. It wouldn't be such a big deal.
Once those details hit the internet, social media went into full-blown detective mode and meme mode. One tweet joked, So she was 21 and 15 at the same time? Multiverse of Meghan unlocked. Another said, 2 epidurals and home in 2 hours? My OB just rage quit. A TikTok creator duet Harry's birth story paused at the epidural part and said, my sister's epidural took longer to wear off than this entire royal timeline. Reddit went further, side-by-side charts comparing the official 1981 timeline with the speculative 1975 to 76 version people were debating online. Across every platform, one line kept popping up, not saying anyone's lying, but the math ain't matting. And honestly, when you watch the clip people keep circulating, you can see why they're debating it. Because when the screenshots start rolling in, magazine scans, old photos, Google Maps distances, hospital procedure notes, it stops feeling like random gossip. It starts feeling like the internet putting together a case file.
So let's examine what's out there. This is a copy of 17 magazine, and it was published in March of 1997. In it, it mentions our Megzy is from Los Angeles and that she was 21 years old at the time of publication.
This isn't just gossip.
This isn't just internet chatter about a birthday or a baby. This hits at something bigger, credibility. Because once age questions start popping up, once a birth story starts sounding more like royal fanfiction, people don't ask, is she misunderstood, anymore. They start asking, what else in the story was edited? Hollywood loves a scandal, but it hates the unpredictable kind. The kind where receipts keep resurfacing from old magazines, archives, and medical commentary. The kind no PR team can fully contain. Inside the palace, the stakes go even further. Royal reputations live and die by documentation, christening papers, court circulars, official registers. So when one duchess looks like her timeline doesn't match the polished version, critics say it doesn't just make her look questionable, it makes the institution look naive. Because this isn't just sloppy PR. If the doctors online are right and the birth timeline truly couldn't have unfolded the way it was described, then someone prioritized optics over accuracy. And once the public senses that, trust doesn't crack. It shatters. And the wild part? We still haven't even asked the biggest question.
Described herself as Caucasian rather than biracial. Everyone took this document as being real. Well, if you think that, you need to keep the same energy.
This isn't the first time a glamorous public narrative has clashed with boring, inconvenient details. Tiger Woods had texts. Armie Hammer had screenshots. Big stories crack not because of headlines, but because the receipts refuse to stay quiet. In this case, the receipts fueling online debates aren't spicy DMs. They're dates, numbers, distances on a map, medical timelines being dissected by people across social media. And that's why the internet gets loud. Because when a 6-year gap appears between an old magazine and an official bio, at least according to people discussing it online, or when a complicated birth is retold like a spa day montage, users start asking bigger questions. Not, is this true? But why do these timelines feel so different? Creators point out that some parts of a public life are written in ink, birth certificates, hospital rules, archived publications. Others are written in pencil, easily smudged, rewritten, shaped to fit the polished version. Right now, the online conversation around Meghan's story sits in both worlds. And the more people zoom in, magazine scans, distance charts, medical commentary, the more those pencil lines start showing through the ink.
I think there's a lot more about the whole institutions of British government. And I think something of the Queen as well. I mean, what he...
So, let's wrap this up in 3 lines, the way the internet is doing it. A resurfaced 1997 magazine lists Meghan at 21, even though the official timeline puts her at 15 that year. Her father's old memories, the school years, the early acting grind, don't line up with the polished palace version people quote online. And the royal birth story? Social media keeps calling it a movie script that medical professionals say doesn't match real-world timelines. So what does that mean? Is this all one giant mix-up that snowballed online, or the kind of carefully polished origin story that finally sprung a leak? Drop your theory in the comments. Age? Birth? Both? Which detail feels like the biggest red flag to you? And if you like your scandals served cold, sharp, and with plenty of receipts, hit subscribe. Because according to the internet, this story is just heating up.